This election was about who we are, about the future we choose for ourselves.
Doug Ford secures a historic third term as premier and another majority government.
Tonight, the results of Ontario's decision, how a snap election and a rare winter vote have impacted the political landscape in the province. Good evening. It's job done for Doug Ford. His Progressive Conservatives keeping the keys to Queen's Park, a campaign cold in the face of U.S. tariff threats, locking in another 4 years in power. Here's how the legislature looks after last night's vote. The Progressive Conservatives won 80 seats. The NDP at 27 remain the official opposition, and the Liberals 14. There will still be 2 Greens at Queen's Park and 1 independent. So how is that different from when Ford called the election just over a month ago? The PCs gained 1 seat. The NDP lost a seat. There'll be 5 more Liberals representing ridings, helping them regain official party status. And the Green representation hasn't changed. The results barely shifting the balance of power. But still, no shortage of drama during last night's vote. And for all the details and drama, we're joined by CTV's Sean Leathong. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, you talked about those seat changes. Barely any change. The balance of power remaining very much the same. What Doug Ford wanted was more time, and that's what he got. The political gamble that paid off.
Friends, this election, we promise to do whatever it takes to protect Ontario.
Doug Ford and the Progressive Conservatives win a 3rd straight majority government on the back of a campaign aimed at fighting U.S. President Donald Trump's proposed tariffs and talk of making Canada the 51st state.
Make no mistake, Canada won't start a fight with the U.S., but you better believe we're ready to win one.
Though it had been rumored since last summer, Ford called the snap election after Trump threatened to hit Canada with 25% tariffs last month. And when they return to Queen's Park, the opposition will be the same, with the New Democrats elected to 1 less seat than at dissolution, but still enough to make the official opposition, as Leader Marit Stiles congratulated Premier Ford.
I really do want to offer him any possible help that we can provide in the face of the threat of Donald Trump. The threat is real.
Stiles vowed to hold the Ford government to account, something Green Party leader Mike Schreiner echoed. The Greens will once again hold 2 seats in the legislature.
I know that Ontarians want us to do better, and I know that we can do better.
And in what was a bittersweet night, the Liberal Party winning 14 seats, enough to return to official party status, but leader Bonnie Crombie failed to win her own seat in Mississauga East Cooksville. Crombie choosing pointed words for the Premier last night.
You promised to protect Ontario, but you neglected Ontario, and we're going to make sure that you go back to protecting us.
The Liberal leader vowing to stay on despite not having a seat in the legislature. So now comes the big test for Premier Doug Ford. He wanted this mandate to fight would-be tariffs from Donald Trump in the United States. Those are set to come into effect on Tuesday. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. The decision to call Ontario's first February election in more than 140 years prompted fears of low voter turnout. But Elections Ontario says participation rates rose slightly. Unofficial results show 45.4% of registered voters cast a ballot this time around. That's up from the record low of 44% seen in 2022, although well below the 57% seen in 2018.
While the party standings at Queen's Park haven't shifted dramatically, there will be some changes when the legislature returns. CTV's Scott Lightfoot has more on the upsets and the notable wins after last night's vote.
When Sylvia Galtieri won the riding of Mississauga East Cooksville last night, she not only defeated the provincial Liberal leader, but the mother-in-law of Brampton Mayor and former PC leader Patrick Brown also helped keep the seat blue. Its former representative wasn't running this time around after resigning from the party and sitting as an independent.
I am so thrilled that I will be part of the people at Queen's Park, along with our Premier Doug Ford and all the friends I have there. I know so many of those MPPs. It'll be great to be there.
The Progressive Conservatives also picked up a seat in Hamilton Mountain with a win by that city's Director of Municipal Law and Licensing. Also in Hamilton, the NDP regained the seat formerly held by Sarah Jama, who was removed from the party. She ran again as an independent, but finished fourth. The Liberals took the seat of Toronto St. Paul's from the NDP. Former broadcaster and first-time candidate Stephanie Smythe defeated incumbent Jill Andrew.
I'm no longer just reporting on the challenges facing our city and province. I am also, now, I have the chance to fight for real solutions.
It was one of several Liberal pickups across the GTA, including Don Valley North, Etobicoke Lakeshore, and Ajax. All seats won by the PCs in the last election. The Liberals also picked up a seat in the Ottawa area of Nepean, a Conservative stronghold that had been blue since the mid-1990s.
Some of the seats were a little unpredictable, where you saw surprises, where maybe the PCs didn't steal NDP seats outside of Toronto, or maybe where the Liberal NDP fights broke for the NDP, even though the NDP only had 18% of the vote, and yet they overcame the Liberals in seat count, who got 30% of the vote.
The PCs did manage to take back the Ottawa area riding of Carleton, and they picked up a seat in Algoma Manitoulin, last won by the NDP. They also managed to fend off a strong Green Party challenge in Parry Sound Muskoka, where the Greens were hoping to pick up their third seat. Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
And Prime Minister Justin Trudeau congratulated Premier Ford on his re-election last night, saying, Ontario and Canada are at their best when we work together to defend Canadian interests, protect workers, and make life more affordable. Wishing you and your team the best as you head back to work for the people of Ontario.
And Mayor Olivia Chow also sent her congratulations to Doug Ford on his election victory. She added, let's continue working together to build a more caring, affordable, and safer Toronto. We will build more homes faster, feed more kids, get Toronto moving by investing in transit and tackling congestion, and protect businesses and workers from a senseless U.S. trade war.
And if you're looking to learn more about last night's vote, including detailed results from your riding, our online team has ongoing coverage at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Also tonight, things get heated in the Oval Office. President Trump and the Ukrainian president have one of the most uncomfortable exchanges between two leaders ever captured on camera. The stunning moments and what this could mean for the efforts to end the war.
More news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city. Here's a live shot. We had some flurries and light rain, but we were spared another major snowfall. As for how the weekend is looking, let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. Yeah, I don't think too many people are upset that this storm in the end didn't end up being quite as impactful as it could have been for your Friday night. The low tracking a little further to the north, so we are seeing some mixed precipitation, even some rain showers in the west end of the GTA and downtown. It is still snow for central portions of Ontario. That's where we find snowfall warnings. Still some winter weather travel advisories in effect too, but they are starting to come to an end. Winds right now are coming out of the south. They are strengthening. Look at the temperature right now in Windsor. It is 11 degrees. We are seeing our temperature climb as well, but overnight that temperature will fall and it's going to make way for a very cold weekend ahead. All of those details are coming up. For now, Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lizzie. A labor dispute involving tens of thousands of city workers could disrupt plans for March break for families in Toronto.
The city is warning daycares and camps will be forced to close if there is a strike or lockout. Our John Musselman joins us live with the latest on the negotiations and the plans for a work stoppage as the deadline approaches, John.
Well, Michelle, this could be a huge headache for parents who rely on childcare and also for the upcoming March break. The city and the union, though, say they're hoping to get a deal done before the deadline. Both sides say they will keep talking, but if the city and its inside workers can't get a deal done by the end of next week, 39 city-run daycares and all city-run March break camps will be shut down. Nearly 30,000 inside workers will be in a legal strike position at 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, March 8th.
Our local 79 members run programming at recreation centers. And if there is a labor disruption, nearly all of the city's recreation centers will be closed and recreation programming canceled. And that includes, because of the timing of this, potentially the March break camps.
The bargaining battle comes just a couple of months after the city's outdoor workers ratified a contract that netted them nearly 15% increase over 4 years. Today, union members held an information picket session on Wellesley Street. The union says it wants its own deal for inside workers. It claims members are underpaid and undervalued by the city.
The workers are leaving and going to other smaller municipalities that pay more with better working conditions. And what the city is now facing is not just workers who are angry because they're not getting paid on par with market rate, but they're also facing a situation internally where the public is not able to receive the services that they rely on because of underinvestment and underfunding.
Message to the city, buckle up. We're organized, we're mobilized, we're ready. We do not want to strike, but we're not afraid to strike.
The city says parents will get a refund if March break camps are canceled. Shelters, warming centers, emergency services, water services, and long-term care will remain operational. City officials are hopeful a deal can be reached before the deadline.
Rounds take on a flavor I've found in my experience with labor relations, and this is certainly a round where wages is a key factor.
The union sent the city a new proposal this morning. Both sides are committed to bargaining right up to the deadline. And we're already starting to see some impacts. Celebrate Toronto event scheduled for next Saturday at Nathan Phillips Square has now been postponed until April the 5th because of the concerns that a deal can't be worked out. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Meanwhile, the city's been named in a lawsuit over bike lanes by several dozen local businesses in Bloor West Village and the Kingsway. The statement of claim alleges the Bloor Street lanes were installed without meaningful consultation and in a way that is negatively affecting conditions for pedestrians and motorists, as well as the plaintiff's bottom lines. The city says it will respond to the claims in due course, but otherwise won't comment while the matter is before the court.
Toronto's mayor is continuing to push a message to shop and buy local.
It comes amid a threat of tariffs south of the border. CTV's Beth McDonnell has more.
Passes from one hand to another. You're stretching.
Just days until across-the-board 25% U.S. tariffs could come into place, Toronto's mayor is making pizza to send a message to shop local and buy Canadian.
Canadians, Torontonians are strong. We are proud Canadians, and we know how to take care of each other.
Graham's Pizza in the Junction has swapped out everything from the kitchen that was made in the USA with a Canadian version and filling in gaps with products from other countries.
I've been daydreaming about it for several months, and when the election results came in and rhetoric sort of ramped up, I can't say what I was thinking politely, but I just figured I'm done with American products.
Thursday, the mayor met with her economic action team made up of 13 business and labor leaders to tackle the tariff threat.
The draft, it's quite ready, and there were some really excellent suggestions, very concrete things we're going to do in a short period of time and in a longer term. So we will complete that after looking at what is going to happen the first week of March.
Ensuring a pizza is all Canadian, like making choices at the grocery store or shopping at the mall, is complex.
I'd opt for supporting companies, even if their ownership is in the United States. If it employs Canadians, I'd be more inclined to support that. For instance, one of the flour brands I use quite frequently is Ontario Flour, milled in Ontario. But the parent company is a giant American conglomerate.
At Graham's Pizza, ditching American ingredients is having a positive impact.
When I do sleep, I sleep a little better. I feel good about it. And people have been really supportive.
While the mayor says any action from the city must be a Team Canada one, working closely with the provincial and federal governments. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
The man convicted of killing a teen at a Kiel subway station 2 years ago received his sentence in court today. On March 25th, 2023, 16-year-old Gabriel Magalhaes was fatally stabbed at Kiel Station. It was one of several incidents that prompted calls for better security on the TTC. Police charged then 22-year-old Jordan O'Brien Tobin with first-degree murder in what they called an unprovoked attack. He pleaded guilty in November to second-degree murder, which comes with an automatic life sentence. Today, a judge officially announced the sentence with no chance of parole for 18 years.
Meanwhile, Toronto police are searching for a suspect after a stabbing this morning near Church in Wellesley. It was reported a few streets south of Maitland around 9 a.m. Emergency crews say they transported a patient to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. 2 schools in the area were briefly put into hold and secure, and roads were closed for a few hours for the investigation.
And we're learning more about a fatal crash on the 407 in Markham. OPP were called yesterday around 9:30 in the morning after a vehicle rolled over into a guardrail. This was in the eastbound lanes near Warden. The driver, a 19-year-old man from Scarborough, was pronounced dead at the scene. Police are now asking witnesses or anyone with related dash cam footage to get in touch.
In Washington, a shocking scene today at the White House where Donald Trump and his vice president berated Ukraine's leader during an Oval Office meeting.
Trump later cut short talks with Volodymyr Zelensky, who was seeking American security guarantees as part of achieving a lasting peace plan. CTV's Jeremy Sharon has the story.
It started with a quip about what he was wearing as he walked in, but when the highly anticipated meeting got underway, there was no joking around.
You have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
cards.
Playing cards. Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
It was a heated exchange in an Oval Office meeting as Trump pushed for Ukraine to make concessions and Zelensky sought security guarantees.
You think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
if you
didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe
new.
less.
The visit was supposed to end with a deal over rare minerals, but the planned signing was canceled, as was a press conference. Tension never subsided. The vice president got involved numerous times.
You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
But Zelensky left the White House shortly after the meeting ended.
Following the heated exchange, Trump took to his social media platform saying President Zelensky disrespected the U.S. and isn't ready for peace if America is involved. Zelensky also posted online thanking the president for the visit and his support. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News, Ottawa.
Now, after that Oval Office meeting, Prime Minister Trudeau said on X, quote, Russia illegally and unjustifiably invaded Ukraine. For 3 years now, Ukrainians have fought with courage and resilience. Their fight for democracy, freedom and sovereignty is a fight that matters to us all. Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine and Ukrainians in achieving a just and lasting peace.
Donald Trump is now heading to Florida for an event tomorrow before leaving Washington. The U.S. president spoke about that contentious meeting with his Ukrainian counterpart.
I would say it didn't work out exactly great from his standpoint. I think he very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace. We're not looking for somebody that's going to sign up as strong power and then not make peace because they feel emboldened, and that's what I saw happening. I'm looking for peace. We're not looking to go into a 10-year war.
Trump says to restart talks, Zelensky has to say he wants to make peace.
Here at home, a federal cabinet minister will run in an Oakville riding after deciding she's going to seek re-election after all. Anita Anand said last month she would not be a candidate in the next election. She was considering returning to her former life as an academic, but the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade says Canada was not in the existential crisis it's in now. Anand has been working with the provinces in an effort to get rid of internal trade barriers.
In Rome, the Pope had what was called an isolated breathing crisis today as he battles double pneumonia in hospital. The Vatican described the incident as similar to an asthma attack. He also experienced a sudden worsening of his respiratory condition, which was treated with ventilation through a light mask. The issue did not last long, and the Pope has remained alert. He's continuing his treatments. Doctors are expected to take 24 to 48 hours to evaluate how the episode will impact the state of his clinical condition.
The Catholic tradition of Lent starts next week on Ash Wednesday, but before then, one of the biggest parties on the planet has begun. The mayor of Rio de Janeiro handed the keys to the city to King Momo today, the carnival's symbolic monarch, then officially declared Rio's 2025 Carnival open. The marquee event features top samba schools performing. The festivities run for 5 days and hundreds of thousands of tourists are expected.
For observant Muslims, it's a time of increased worship, religious reflection, and good deeds. The holy month of Ramadan is beginning. In Jerusalem, worshipers perform prayers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Nearly 2 billion Muslims around the world will observe Ramadan. It's a time of daily fasting from dawn to sunset, and often brings families and friends together in festive gatherings around meals to break their fast. Ramadan is followed by the Islamic holiday of Eid al-Fitr.
Yes, Ramadan is observed by Muslims around the world.
CTV's Janice Golding has more on what it means to families here in the GTA.
The holy month of Ramadan is upon us.
Ramadan is a time for soul searching. It's a time for giving and family and love and unity.
A time when Muslims worldwide focus on spiritual rejuvenation and their loved ones.
It's a lot of fun. We go to grocery markets and buy a lot of special foods that are usually made around this time of year.
My mom's making good food for us, and I'm really excited, looking forward to it.
We celebrate it with the loved ones, so it means a lot for us. It's traditional, it's religious.
Participating Muslims of age abstain from food and drink between sundown and sunset during Ramadan.
We wake up early in the morning and then we come, we eat. Then we go back to sleep, and then we wake up and we continue our normal day. We just don't eat food, we don't drink water.
When you're fasting, you feel what the meaning of the poor people suffering from that.
Imam Irshad Osman says beyond fasting for 13 to 16 hours a day, people forgo sleep and sexual activity.
It's like a training period, like a boot camp. In the end of the boot camp, what you learn from this, what you develop, and it will help you to lead your life ethically and righteously in the next 11 months.
Self-denial, a means of developing self-control, empathy, gratitude, and compassion.
So Ramadan is a time to feed our soul and nurture its soul and the journey of the heart.
At sunset, people break the fast.
We start with dates and with some milk and juice.
We have dates first, usually.
And after performing sunset prayers, a family will eat dinner, often inviting guests. Many also go to the mosque for night prayers, sometimes returning home quite late, only to begin the process again for the next 29 to 30 days. Janice Golding, CTV News.
Coming up, gearing up for Hollywood's Golden Night. We're in LA with a report from the red carpet as we get set for Sunday's Academy Awards.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up, it's Feedback Friday. Viewers had lots to say about investment scams costing people their life savings. Music fans blame StubHub for driving up ticket prices. And are you trying to buy Canadian at the grocery store? Sometimes it's easier said than done. Feedback Friday is just ahead.
Well, it's official. This February has been our snowiest on record in the city of Toronto. 78 centimeters recorded. I think that's what many of us will remember this month for. But here's another recap of what happened. A new month means new norms. And March, the first weekend of it, is going to start off well below seasonal. But temperatures will be above average by the middle part of next week. A full look at your 7-day forecast is coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Well, tonight we have some of your comments on buying Canadian at the grocery store, expensive concert tickets, and a warning when traveling south.
We also had a lot of reaction to our stories this week on an investment scam that is devastating families across the country. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. We did a story on Monday on the GIC investment scam and a man who lost his life savings after we heard from other victims. While many viewers say banks should do more to prevent these scams, others say customers need to be more careful, too. Walter Yamka wanted to make more money with his investments and Googled best GIC rates, but he was taken to a fake website and scammed out of $750,000.
You thought you were on the real PC Financial website.
Of course I did.
Samantha Barnes got caught in the same scam and lost $233,000.
I'm devastated that people are able to do this.
Some viewers blame the banks for wiring the funds. Others blame Google for allowing scammers to pop up in their search engine. But Gloria said, when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, get a professional to look after your investments. Then you won't get scammed.
This is a serious criminal matter.
Greg Wolvet told CTV News last March his stepdaughter, who was 16 at the time, was allegedly assaulted at a Cuba resort by a hotel employee.
She had tears in her eyes, and she said, I think I've just been assaulted.
Wolvet said his family was shocked when the incident was not taken seriously. Debbie wrote, our 22-year-old daughter was also assaulted on a hotel property in Cuba last year. The police, the hotel, and our trip provider did nothing. It was a disaster.
I had purchased 4 tickets for Taylor Swift.
Mustafa Hamid purchased 4 tickets to see Taylor Swift for $365 each, but he was able to sell them on StubHub for over $18,000. Months later, he still couldn't get his funds.
I'm extremely disappointed, extremely frustrated.
With CTV's help, he got the money, but Marjorie told us the larger issue is fans want to attend concerts but can't because tickets are being resold at much higher prices. $18,000 for 4 tickets is outrageous. With tariff tensions between Canada and the U.S., many shoppers are trying to buy Canadian products, but it's not always easy to do. David told us, we're trying to buy Canadian, but you can't always trust what you see on the shelf. He sent a photo that showed coconut with a Canada tag and a maple leaf, but a closer look showed it was a product of the Philippines. And Canada doesn't grow coconuts due to our climate, but some stores may call products Canadian if they're packaged here or if a Canadian ingredient is added. So buying a truly Canadian product can require some research. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, here we are, the end of the month of February. March begins tomorrow, and we still have some wintry weather around.
Yeah, it was supposed to be really bad. That was the report this morning, but it kind of lightened, which is nice. And maybe, yeah, it's going to be cold, but at least not a huge dumping of snow.
That's right. Your drive tonight shouldn't be all that crippling in nature, which is good. I mean, we sure have had enough snow in the month of February, so I think most of us are pleased about this. Over the weekend, though, yes, it is going to be cold. The saying goes that if March roars in like a lion, it will go out quietly like a lamb and vice versa. So I'll leave it up to you to determine whether or not this is lion-like this weekend for March. This is what it looked like a little bit earlier today, late in the afternoon, I should say. We had some fresh snow on the roads. It was a mostly cloudy afternoon after some brilliant sunshine earlier today. But yes, in the end, the low tracked a little further to the north. And as a result, we had milder temperatures and some mixing and even rain showers were introduced. So that lessened the snowfall amounts that we were expecting around the GTA. We are not under a winter weather travel advisory, but parts of York Region and Durham Region still are, expecting these to gradually come to an end over the next few hours here. This is what the system looks like on the satellite and radar. It is a clipper that is generally fast moving, usually brings a few centimeters of fresh, wet snow. And as it departs, behind it, we are looking at wraparound winds and some colder air behind that Arctic front. First, though, later this evening, we could be at our mildest point of today. And as a result, a few more showers are looking likely. But by tomorrow, it'll be lake effect snow for communities close to the shoreline of Lake Huron. And northwest winds are going to make it feel quite chilly around here in the GTA. But we will enjoy some periods of sun over the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. It's Saturday night, though, that things are going to be especially cold. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Winds right now are coming out of the south. We're going to change to a northwest wind for tomorrow. Expect gusts close to about 60 kilometers per hour. So that could be a little uncomfortable. It's certainly going to make it feel colder out there than the temperature suggests. Overnight tonight, we drop to near -4 degrees. Waking up tomorrow morning, the temperature could be around -7 degrees. And that is likely to be our daytime high. Here's the thing, though. It's a cold weekend. But temperatures rebound as we make our way through the middle part of next week. Here is the 7-day forecast. So by Monday, we're up around 1 degree, mix of sun and cloud, 4 degrees by Tuesday, and 7 plus 7 by next Wednesday. With that, it's likely that we're going to get some periods of rain or some steady rainfall. March usually brings us more in the way of rain, but also still some snow. In fact, flurries return to the forecast as early as next Thursday, with the temperature back near the freezing mark. So over the next few weeks here, you can expect a little bit of back and forth when it comes to the temperature and the precipitation types. That's your look at the forecast for now. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. A heads up for transit users, there's a major closure on Line 1 this weekend. Subway trains will stop running between Bloor-Yonge and Osgood stations at 11 o'clock tonight for track work. Service will then stay shut down all of Saturday and Sunday. Shuttle buses will run, but the TTC is also advising riders to consider surface routes connecting to the other side of Line 1.
Also tonight, health officials warn of potential measles exposure after a new case is confirmed in the GTA. What you need to know amid a rise in infections in Ontario. York Region Public Health is reporting a new confirmed case of measles tonight.
It comes amid a dramatic rise in infections in Ontario. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has the details.
York Region Public Health is warning people who may have been exposed to the highly contagious virus on a flight from Seoul, South Korea to Pearson International on February 22nd. It was a Korean Airlines flight KE073. You may also have been exposed at Pearson Airport Terminal 3 on February 22nd from 9:35 a.m. to 1 p.m., or at South Lake Health on Davis Drive in Newmarket on February 24th, at the Emergency Department from 10:45 a.m. to 9 p.m., or at the Pediatric Unit February 25th from 8:25 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're especially concerned about infants under the age of 12 months, pregnant people, or those with weakened immune systems. Ontario is now reporting 120 confirmed cases of measles, with more than 20 probable cases, and Toronto Public Health is bracing for more with this March break.
In the City of Toronto, we have had 1 case of measles so far. It has been travel related. We do expect, though, as people start to travel for March break, that we will get additional cases, as we usually do this time of year.
But so far, all but 3 of Ontario's cases have sprung from one person who traveled here from an event in New Brunswick.
In less than a year, we've had more cases than we've seen in the past 11 years. It's important to know that this outbreak that is occurring in Ontario started from a travel-related case. So someone traveled, came from abroad to New Brunswick, and that's actually the source for the measles that we're actually seeing that is spreading in Ontario.
Since last October, 177 cases have come from that one person, and 159 of those have been in unvaccinated people. 2 received just 1 dose of vaccine, and 8 had unknown vaccination status. In the past school year, Toronto Public Health has focused on boosting immunizations in students, starting with those born in 2006.
When we started, only about 30% of them were up to date with their vaccinations, and when we finished, 98% were in compliance with the Immunization Act, and almost 90% had up-to-date vaccinations.
They're also opening up vaccination appointments during March break.
So if someone doesn't have a family doctor, maybe they can't get in to see their family doctor, they can book an appointment at tphbookings.ca.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Grammy winner Sabrina Carpenter is extending her ongoing concert tour. Carpenter was already here, by the way, last September, but now she's set to return to a few cities, including Toronto. She'll be back at Scotiabank Arena on November 10th and 11th as another big act shares some similar news. Tickets went on sale yesterday for the much-awaited world tour by K-pop group Blackpink. The quartet was already set to play the new Rogers Stadium on July 22nd, but the 50,000-seat venue sold out quickly, and as a result, a second show has been added to the calendar for July 23rd. Tickets went on sale today. Well, as we head into the weekend, cinema fans across the globe are counting down to the 97th Academy Awards.
The Oscars will be handed out Sunday, and organizers are hard at work preparing for Hollywood's biggest night. The Academy has rolled out the red carpet at the Dolby Theater in L.A., with a little help this week from first-time Oscars host Conan O'Brien. E-Talk's Lainey Louie is there tracking the Oscars buzz and expectations for Sunday's ceremony.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Nathan. Thanks. You know what? I am here on the Oscars red carpet. It's being protected right now because, of course, the Oscars are on Sunday and they want to make sure it's in pristine condition. There is an air of relief and celebration here in Los Angeles because, you know, a few weeks ago, we weren't quite sure whether or not the Oscars would happen. That's, of course, because of the LA wildfires. So the mood here is exuberant. It's one of celebration and one of gratitude. The first responders have had a place at every award show leading up to the Oscars so far, and I'm sure that on Oscar night on Sunday, we will see first responders, we will see celebrities and Hollywood pay their respects to first responders and the work that they did during those scary, scary weeks. So expect the show to be celebratory and also grateful. And the thing is that it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be Hollywood. In fact, the Oscars going forward means that a lot of people are working, people who aren't in front of the camera, valet drivers and florists and people behind me who are putting together this event. This is the industry of Hollywood. Everybody needs to get back to work, and this weekend they are working. And of course, the awards themselves. There's a lot of speculation about who is going to win and what the odds are. Right now, there are 3 films in contention for Best Picture. That would be Anora, The Brutalist, and also Conclave. So it's going to be a photo finish, one of the tightest Oscar races we have seen in years. Same goes in the acting categories. Demi Moore looks like a favorite, but Mikey Madison could upset her in the Best Actress category, and Adrian Brody and Timothée Chalamet going head-to-head for Best Actor. So all of this is what we're watching on E-Talk. We are so excited. E-Talk Live at the Oscars will be on YouTube and streaming on CTV.ca starting Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much. Now back to you in the studio.
And we'll have live coverage of the red carpet and the Oscars ceremony Sunday night. It all starts here on CTV at 6:30.
And after the break, an app to whet your appetite. We check out a new food delivery service in Brampton that offers high speed and low fees. That's coming up.
This election was about who we are, about the future we choose for ourselves.
Updating our top stories, Premier Doug Ford and his progressive conservatives have secured a third majority government, campaigning on the fight against looming U.S. tariffs. The NDP remained the official opposition as the Liberals regained official party status, although leader Bonnie Crombie did not secure a seat at Queen's Park.
Message to the city, buckle up. We're organized, we're mobilized, we're ready. We do not want to strike, but we're not afraid to strike.
The clock is ticking down to a potential work stoppage by the city's nearly 30,000 indoor workers. CUPE Local 79 says its members are underpaid and undervalued. Officials say they're hopeful a deal can be reached before the March 8th deadline. But March break camps will be canceled if a strike goes ahead.
I think he very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace.
And U.S. President Donald Trump weighed in this evening on a heated exchange with Ukraine's president at the White House. Volodymyr Zelensky was in Washington seeking security guarantees amid Russia's invasion. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance said he was standing in the way of a peace agreement with Moscow and asked him to leave.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
On the Friday markets, the Canadian dollar ended the week 69.14 cents U.S., up a fraction. Western Canadian Select Oil is up $1.67 to end the day at $57.07 a barrel. And the TSX Composite Index closed at 25,393, up more than 265 points.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
It was once a household name in internet communications, but Microsoft says Skype will ring for the last time this spring. Skype's first launched back in 2003 and it disrupted the landline industry by offering audio and video calls over the internet. Microsoft then took over the company in 2011 for $8.5 billion US. At the time, it had around 150 million users each month. But by 2020, that figure had fallen to around 23 million. Skype had been struggling to compete with rivals like Zoom, Slack, and WhatsApp, and Microsoft's own Teams software. All Skype users will be migrated to Teams on May 5th.
There is a new homegrown food delivery app attempting to give big names like Skip the Dishes and Uber Eats a run for their money.
Speedy Feast is Brampton-based and, unlike its competitors, is focused on fee transparency. CTV's Rahim Ladani has the details.
It's the lunchtime rush, and Baba Kitchen has received an online order.
There's a chicken curry rice ball.
But it's not from one of the more well-known food delivery service companies.
As I saw these apps getting worse over time, I wanted to, and by worse I mean, let's say, charging higher fees and such.
So Anubhav Malik used his computer science degree from the University of Waterloo and experience from working in Silicon Valley to create Speedy Feast. It's a Brampton-based food delivery service, but unlike other apps which tack on a delivery fee, other fees, and a tip option, Speedy Feast rolls them all into one charge based on the customer's distance to the restaurant.
I thought this is an opportunity for just clarity. I personally hate, seeing one fee and then when I go to the checkout, it's like much larger than that.
While the company is focused on serving Brampton for now, it has plans to expand across the GTA in Canada. Baba Kitchen is one of around 50 restaurants which have signed on to the platform since it launched last month.
In the restaurant industry, it's very less margin while we are cooking food and selling to the customers. And if we're going with a Speedy Feast kind of apps, that will be like we are growing with them.
At a time when supporting Canadian businesses is a source of pride, Speedy Feast is going a step further.
You can also select one of our donation options.
After every order, it donates a small percentage to a local food organization. At no cost to the customer, they can choose to support food banks, school lunches, and soup kitchens.
If you're placing an order from, say, Brampton, it will go specifically to Brampton. If you're, let's say, from Mississauga, it'll go to Mississauga. So these are location-based hunger-related charities that we match to.
Working towards feeding everyone, one delivery at a time. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Well, it's a busy night for Toronto sports teams on the court, the diamond, and the ice.
Mitch Marner in a row. Mitch Marner winds in, scores! Mitch Marner!
The Maple Leafs have won 3 in a row after roaring back to defeat Boston on Tuesday. This evening, the Buds are in New York for the second meeting of the season between the two teams. The Rangers won the first game 4-1.
15 games back of Cleveland. They're in the 4th spot. Here's Grady with a left.
The Raptors are also on the road. Toronto has 2 wins in its last 10 games after Wednesday's loss to the Pacers. They're in Chicago tonight to take on the Bulls. Scotty Barnes is questionable with a hip injury. The Raptors visit Orlando on Sunday.
So they're going to lead to RBIs.
Springer with a liner, and that one's a fair ball rolling into the corner.
And the bats were booming today as the Jays hosted Detroit in spring training action. Toronto scored 8 runs in the 4th inning en route to a 10-7 win. The Blue Jays are now taking on the Yankees in the second split squad game of the day.
Just ahead, carrying the lessons of Black History Month beyond February. Our Jessica Smith pays a visit to Rockford Public School, where students are sharing what they've learned.
Throughout February, students across the GTA have been celebrating Black History Month.
Today, CTV's Jessica Smith visited a North York school to get a lesson in what the children have learned and how teachers plan to keep the education going all year round.
Acknowledging the past while celebrating the future. That's how Rockford Public School has recognized Black History Month.
So they get to hear about some of the pain, but we don't stop there. We don't stop at the trauma. We also move on to tell them about the victories and the resilience of the Black people.
Noting the contributions of the Black community here at home and around the world.
I get to see all of those other people who came before me, do a really good job because I can have my freedoms and rights till today.
With the idea that you have to reach one to teach one.
I feel like it's important because I get to feel pride and also help others learn about it.
We all firmly believe that every child should be represented, that they should see themselves in the curriculum, that they should have a voice, that they should hear their stories.
taking the lessons they've learned beyond February.
We bring it home to them so that they're hands-on, interacting and learning together, and it's not just telling a story, but they're actually involved.
And up next for Rockford Public School is celebrating Greek Heritage Month as they continue to lift every voice. Jessica Smith, CTV News, Toronto.
Such a great story.
We're heading into another weekend, brand new month, and there is some weather to talk about.
In fact, I want to update you. Environment Canada just recently issued a flash freeze warning for parts of southern Ontario. This is because the temperature is going to fall tonight, and we've got some rain out there right now. So all of that slush, that melting, is expected to freeze. So this is from Goderich over toward Orangeville and north to the Bruce Peninsula. Again, that's a flash freeze warning. So if you're going to be traveling, this is mainly for late this evening and overnight. Be mindful of that. I wouldn't rule out the possibility of some slippery spots here locally in the GTA, especially into early tomorrow morning. The 7-day forecast shows a cold weekend, but a milder point midweek next week. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Well, that's it for us, but you can join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.